my clothes. Let's put them aside for the video on cam. Hmm? Hi, Kia. Hi, Mohiti. Mohitin. Agaba. Turquoise. Hey, Jadida in here again. Yes, like, subscribe, all that. Hello, hello. Oh, from Istanbul. How's Istanbul today? Masala? I'm Kenyan. I'm Kenyan. Guys, welcome to PTB. My name is Kanini. Tell us what's on your mind, what's going on, what's on your mind. Artist, I remember you. Hi, Elo. Elsosa. I'm looking at my dating profile. Somebody likes to barbecue. Mm, I don't know if I like this profile. No. You want to do your nails like mine? Go for different colors. I just do different colors sometimes. Hi, Alfonso. Where you from? Where do you come from? Anybody else who's food here is very, very expensive. Let me ask you wherever you are from, is food expensive? Because I'm in California. I'm telling you, food here is so expensive that everybody has been complaining about it. So let me know out there if wherever you are, if food is expensive. It's so expensive here. The one thing people are saying gas prices are high, here food is expensive. It's the food, okay? It's the real fuel that's expensive. Hey, let me know if you live in a cheaper place I could move to. Maybe where you live, it's not that bad. Uh, let me know. Not baking anything for me today. I'm telling you, food is expensive, and you want me to bake. Today we are fasting, okay? It's time to lose this bear. Hi, Larry. You're in DC. How is food? How expensive is food in DC? No, I'm seriously fasting. Let me tell you, my girlies who wear wigs. I think this happened because of the wig that I was wearing. It really destroyed my face. You can see. So I stopped wearing those things. Look at how it butchered my face. And I never had these things on my face, and my face really heals very quickly from any kind of whatever. But for some reason, it's not able to heal. Do you guys know what I can do? This is so bad. Look at it. And the thing is, they are bumpy. Like, you see how bumpy this is right here? They are bumpy. And I saw some other ones here. I know. So bad. I thought I had a pretty face, and now it's. Hi, oh, from Bay Bridge in Zimbabwe. Cute kid. Cutie kid, cutie kid. Yeah, I'm in California. Food here, what I noticed, what this war has done, I don't know about, maybe it's the tariffs, but what I noticed, food here in California is becoming expensive. Let me know if this is something you are experiencing where you live. If you go shopping and you notice, I'm paying, I'm paying um a lot more money for less food. Let me know if that's how you're experiencing food. I'm going to be stocking more on beans. Beans are very rich in protein, and beans don't go bad. Like, it's very hard for beans to go bad. So I would say, as a strategy, you can also think about that. buy some beans. Beans are cheap, but if food becomes more expensive, they'll be harder to find. I'm not looking for any side dude. Who told you? Stop. Let me put you on timeout. This bullshit I don't like. Hi, Felix. No, I don't visit people. I don't want to be human trafficked. With all the Epstein files, and some of you are still preying on people. We heard about that girl who got murdered in Zimbabwe. You think I would go anywhere with you? Hell no. Hi, Felix. No, Larry, I would not visit you anywhere. No, I don't have kids. I love Kenya, but I don't like Kenya. No, I'm not pregnant. I know I'm bloated. I look like I'm pregnant, but I'm actually not pregnant. I don't want to have kids. I don't like kids. It's not that I don't like kids. I cannot afford kids. I don't know how you guys afford to have children, but um I don't want kids. I cannot afford them. No, I don't have a husband. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have anybody. So I can't even have kids. It's practically impossible. Okay. It is not even possible. I don't talk about what state I'm in. Hi, Derek. Exactly. Exactly. Be polite. Talk about things that matter. Okay. Let us know how gas is affecting your life. Let us know if food is expensive. Okay. Tell us something that we can actually roll with. Who do you want to win the war, Iran or the US? Tell us something we can we can work with. Okay. Today I wanted to talk to you about how how every war is won even before it started. This is a war strategy that a lot of people don't actually think about. Is that war is like an examination, right? When you War is like a test. If you are prepared for the test, you're going to pass. If you are not prepared for the test, you're not going to pass. It means that the preparation is done even before the war begins. So it's already known in the universe who is the outcome of the war, because the game is already won even before it starts. It's like let's say you're competing for chess. Let's say two people are preparing to go and compete for playing chess, right? And somebody goes out partying the night before, they go drinking the day before, they party hard, and the other person sleeps. They rehearse their strategies, they go over the moves that they need to do, they probably meditate, they sleep, and they go there early, prepared, they relax, and this person comes stumbling in, they're late, they don't know, right? Who's likely to win? Hello, how are you doing? You're not talking about the government this morning. What's going on with you? Feeling okay? Hello, mm, I am feeling okay. Yes, they don't talk about none of that. They want to worry about you as pregnant or this and that. Yeah, people these days are kind of, you know, people these days surprise me, okay, because of the level of shallowness, and then the level of seriousness that is required for them, and how they show up. There's always like a big disconnect, and I think this is why we will find ourselves in a world war, because there's a big disconnect between how people should be thinking and how they think, right? How they should think and how they think. There's like a big disconnect. um we are going into a war, right? uh Gas prices are going up, food prices are going up, and they still like that disconnect for so many people, like a huge one. Yeah, with rubbing alcohol, yes, I'm going to get it from the store. I've been, like, yesterday I did a facial. I put some lemon, I put some Ayurvedic herbs, I put avocado and some eggs, and I rubbed. Um, like, you can see my face is kind of a little bit shiny, and I think it's from the avocado. Um, yeah, I ran out of rubbing alcohol. I'll go get it in the store today. It's really stressing me out. But I know what I did. Like, I have these wigs that I bought, and I like the wigs, but I noticed first that it was happening on my forehead, but you see, it's my forehead has healed most of it, but it kept spreading. So I am not sure if, you know, so I stopped wearing makeup. This is what made me stop wearing makeup, because right now I would be like baking myself in makeup, but I'm not wearing makeup because um I cleaned all my makeup brushes again, and then I'm just going to replace my makeup. Like I'm just going to replace there's some makeups that I'm going to throw away. Because I had changed the brand that I previously used. I usually use Bobbi Brown, but then I went to Ultra Beauty Store and I bought like different stuff than I normally use, especially for the contour. And I'm noticing like the contour lines everywhere I have contour lines. That is where it's coming from. So, and the brand that I was using it to highlight and contour. So I want to change that. I've stopped some supplements I was taking. I pretty much stopped. I don't think it's from Whitney Houston's daughter. Um, yeah, I don't really think it's related. That's why they said people like you and I are weird, because we pay attention to what's going on around the world. Look at the foolishness stuff that don't make sense, stuff that's not going to help. I know a lot of people will be a lot of people are not paying attention to this one. And when I talk about it, a lot of people think I'm kind of exaggerating. But this is what fascinates me about the war, okay? Russia and Putin, they've been friends for a long, long time. And their friendship is more than 10 years, right? Russia and President Z of China, okay? They've been friends for more than a decade right now. Don't you think for the last 10 years they have gone over a military strategy in case the US attacked them or became a threat to them? Don't you think they have thought about that scenario? Now, President Z and Putin, they are going to stay in power no matter what. So if they have a strategy, it's much more solid than the United States, because the United States keep changing governments. We keep changing leaders, right? The US is not like a dictator. So if the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are not in the same strategy, like over time, it means there is this strategy that Putin and Z have in case they go to a war with the US, but the US strategy keeps changing. The one party wants peace, the other one wants to take over the world. Okay? Now let's go back to what I said before. Every war is determined even before you go to war. Like whoever is going to win the war has already won the war even before it began. The worst thing you can do is to go into a war and then start figuring out your strategy. You had better have your strategy before you go into a war. Uh, because every war is won even before you begin. So you think about Trump, right? How long did he have to plan a war between Iran, Russia, and China? How long has he been planning this? maybe the Republican Party has been planning this outside of the Democratic Party, right? Even when they're not in power. Maybe the Republican Party and Israel have always been planning an attack on Iran, an attack on annexing Canada, an attack on annexing Greenland. And, maybe they have that plan. But here's the thing, they want Canada, right? They already ousted the president of Venezuela. They want Greenland. Israel wants Lebanon. Israel wants a part of Iraq. Okay? So okay, we have Lebanon, Venezuela. Trump said the other day he wants Cuba, Canada, he wants Greenland, and now he's war with Iran. Okay, already we have 6 wars going on right now, like 6 possible wars. How long do you think President Trump planned these 6 wars? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and that we are not talking about Palestine. Okay, add Palestine because I didn't count Palestine. Maybe they want Syria, right? Turkey might join into the war with Israel. Okay, now those are like 9 wars already. I don't know how the US plans to win these wars. Okay, and I haven't even added the big two, Russia and China. Okay, so now we are at 11 wars. Uh, you know, I'm just saying, I don't think, okay, first they want the oil from Iran, and they want the uranium dust. Okay, right. Here's the thing, the US wants oil from Iran and the uranium so that it's in a strategic position to go to war with China and win a war with China. Here's the problem though. The US wants to have those materials so that it's able to go to war with China. But Russia, China, and Iran right now have already probably planned a war with the United States and have already come up with a strategy. And if they wanted to strike the United States, all they have to tell Canada is, Canada, can we use your borders? Why? Because if you don't allow us to use your borders, you're going to get attacked by the United States anyway. They already want your land anyway. They've already threatened that they want your land anyway. So do you want us to use this as a passage to attack the United States? And Canada will be like, oh, you are an enemy of my enemy? Okay, friend, right? Right? All they have to go right now is to go to Greenland and be like, do you want the US to take over you? Greenland is like, no, hell no, we want independence. We do not want to be taken over by the US. So they'll be like, so can we use your passage to get our ships to go down to attack the United States? They'll be like, you are the enemy of our enemy. Okay, you do you. It's better we try that, right? I'm not in Canada. I'm just making scenarios, okay? I'm just making scenarios in my head. They'll be like, okay, yeah. And Russia will be like, can we still use they'll be like, all you want is a corridor to go over there and see if you can topple the empire that already wants to take over me. You do you, okay? Remember, these people, they've already been planning this, okay? They've already been planning this. I mean, I believe like President Z and President Putin, they've been planning how there is no way they never planned in their head how they would attack the United States if there came a point where they needed to attack the United States. I'm sure 1000%. Hi Dilsha. Hi Christopher. Christopher, I'm somewhere in the world. Okay, so there is no way they did not plan this in their head. Remember, Putin is not just the president of Russia or the big guy of Russia. Putin is also um Putin is also a military guy. I mean, Zelensky is also military. I mean, he blew up oil wells in Russia the other day. Russia right now is bleeding, okay? Because Zelensky used some drones to go and blow up oil places in Russia. Okay? Don't call me Peppa Pig. Jay, last warning, okay? Very, very last warning before I block your ass. One more thing. Say one more thing and I'm going to block you. Let me tell you, I'm a dictator on this channel. Okay? I block people. Don't force my arm because you'll be gone. Yes. Okay, so here's my thing though, right? I think these two dictators, Z and Russia, are looking at this situation with Iraq, Iran, and America. Uh, I'm not too chubby, okay? I'm not. I've gained a little bit of weight, but I'm not too chubby. So I don't know what you're talking about, okay? Maybe I I'm 5'3", so I'm kind of like I'm 5'3", and my body type is I don't have an hourglass. Okay, I have a square body type. You know, kind of like the same body type, like somebody like Kate Middleton. You know, she's like stick figure like this, or somebody like Meghan Markle, right? I have that kind of a body type. I am not Kim Kardashian, okay? I'm not chubby. I am not chubby. Look, I have like these bones, so go away. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're chubby. I'm not chubby. Uh, anyway, let me go back to my train of thought before I was rudely interrupted. Okay, this is what I mean. I believe in my heart of hearts, Russia and President Z are watching very, very closely what is happening in Iran, right? And I believe that they were going about their business. They did not want to get sucked into this war. They don't want to get sucked into this war. But I know that when President Trump said he is going to, as a civilization is going to disappear out of this planet and never be seen again, I know that's the moment they said, "What did you just say? Did you just threaten? Did you just say what? Did you just say what you just said?" I know they said that. I know they said that. it's one thing to threaten somebody. It's one thing to threaten somebody with tariffs, right? And they've seen President Trump use tariffs, threaten people with tariffs, and impose tariffs on them. They've seen that. Um, it's another thing to threaten to use nuclear on somebody. He just made the world politics red hot. Let me tell you, since he said those things, everything has been red hot. Okay? Everything has changed since he said those things on Truth Social. Everything has changed. Okay? Because we all knew something changed in 2020 when there was lockdown, when everybody was going home, when everybody was being told to wear masks, to stay 6 feet apart. They can go to work. We all knew something went awfully off in 2020. But also something awfully went off when President Trump said he's going to wipe out a whole civilization in the middle of the night with nuclear weapons. Let me tell you, the world listened. Let me tell you, the whole world listened. Now, Trump's been making threats to Canada, to Greenland, to everybody, Cuba. Let me ask you, what do you think those people are thinking? What do you think those countries are talking about right now? What do you think those countries are saying right now? Then there's another thing. Now, everybody seems to hate Israel. Everybody seems to be hating Israel. The more they understand what is happening with Palestine, the more they understand how they hate other people, the more everybody is starting to hate Israel. Like a genuine kind of hate. I'm telling you, things are changing. Even the Christians that were so naive here in the United States, because most Christians in the United States don't have a brain of their own, they just outsource thinking. um I think the war has not yet begun. Okay, you're asking how long the war is going to last. The war has not even started. Do you hear anyone blowing anybody? The war has not started. um is the war going to start? I don't even think there is a war that's going to be fought. In a sense, i don't think I don't think there is going to be a war that's going to be fought. And the reason why I don't think there's a war that's going to be fought is because when you have nuclear power, and when nuclear powers starts to fight, there is really no war when people use nuclear. Okay, there's never is no it, okay, this is the thing. If I'm going to use nuclear, the war is going to end within 1 hour. Okay, it doesn't take 2 hours, it doesn't take a whole day. Okay, the war has not started, and I don't think there's going to be a war, but there's going to be an outcome. Hey, I didn't get your name. My name is Kanini. Yes, I'm new here. I don't know what to refer to you as. This is PTB, just called post-traumatic blast, PTB. Um, you're a YouTuber yourself. Awesome. Hi, not by chance. Yeah. Yeah, so what I'm saying is I don't think the war has not started, and I don't think if there is going to be a war, it's going to be extended, okay? Uh somebody like President Z is not going to get into a war unless he knows the outcome of that war. Okay? He is not, he's not like Russia. I don't think President Z is like Russia. Russia starts a war with Ukraine and realizes in the middle of it, oh, it's going to be hard. Okay, Russia was going to invade Ukraine anyway, you know, because Russia was not going to allow Ukraine to keep being corrupt and being its neighbor and keep allowing enemy fire. You know, Ukraine was allowing the US to put missile bases in Ukraine. Okay, Russia was not going to allow that. You know, Russia was not going to allow Ukraine to have a US military base in its soil. But Ukraine thought that that was going to be something that it can do and get away with. And Russia kept telling Ukraine, you are not allowed to do it. Like, I am the big dog around here and I tell you what not to do. And you know, Ukraine could have just said no to having US weapons around on its soil, on its territory, but Ukraine was, you know, had corruption, and that was the end of Ukraine. Okay, Russia is never going to allow Ukraine to be independent, like, or have a good Ukrainian day anymore, right? Their good is like it's not going to go back to the good old Ukrainian days. Um, like that conflict is going to be lasting because already Russia is not going to let that one go. Like Russia is not going to be like, you're now free to go and become a state. Uh, Chris, okay, have a wonderful lunch. Subscribe, keep pushing. Yes, I'm pushing. So that's not going to happen. But I think I think right now I don't think we are going to go into an immediate war like the way people think, oh, we are going to go into like World War III. I'm not saying World War III will not happen, but I'm saying World War III, when it happens, it will be like a 1 hour war. Okay, the World War III that is going to be fought is going to be fought with nuclear. It will be people using nuclear to annihilate others. That will only take a few hours. Okay, that's an outcome that only takes a few hours. And I maybe we are going to suffer along the way towards that end. Maybe gas prices are going to go high because of things like the blockades. Maybe food prices are going to go high. That's why I'm asking you guys, how is the food prices in your area? Because in California, food prices are skyrocketing high, right? Like even families are complaining, like they're spending like $300, you know, just they go shopping for a family food for a week. It's like $300. Like it's becoming expensive. Like these are the things that you're going to have to see food becoming expensive. Remember, food is energy. A lot of people think of gas as energy. They don't think as food as energy. We need food for energy. So what you're going to see more food that's low quality food. Um, yeah, Ukraine. I'm not disputing the fact that Ukraine is independent, but you're only as independent as your ability to protect your borders. If you're not able to protect your borders, somebody can come take your borders. This is what's happening with Israel. Like, Israel is like, Lebanon, we want South Lebanon. If you're not able to protect this territory, we're surely going to take it away from you and make it part of ours, right? The same way Israel, wants to take Palestine. And it's like, if you're not able to protect your borders, we're going to take it away from you, and they're very, very brutal. Like, Israelis are going to Palestinian houses and kicking them out and telling them, hey, your house is now my house. If I wasn't going to take it away from you, somebody was going to take it away from you. That's the brutal reality of the political situation that you live in. Don't assume that you're a sovereign nation, because nobody is going to protect you if you're not able to protect yourself. I mean, you can see that strategy that the US is using right now is telling Canada, we want your land. If you're not able to protect, if you can't go to a war with us and win, we will take all that land and make it part of the United States. The same way the United States telling Greenland, hey, you may think that Greenland is part of your country, but we want it. And if you're not able to protect it, we're going to get it from you. I know it sounds brutal, but that's a good question, Marco. Mark Hunter. Does America allow any country to be independent? No. Um, no, that's, yeah, exactly, no. If you're an independent country and you're not giving up something to the American empire and American imperialism, they want to destroy you or they want to take you out. That is the policy right now. So, in other words, Americans don't care about you and your country and where your country is headed. All they care is if they can get resources from your country at the expense of your population. That's what the empire cares about. If you're not able to see that, well, too bad for you. But this empire doesn't care about your independence. Okay? If you insist on your independence, if you insist of not giving them your resources, they are going to threaten to take them away from you. Now, this is what they threatened they threatened Iran. They told Iran, we want your uranium and we want your oil and we are going to come for it. Now, Iran has a choice of being like, okay, we're going to allow you to come and rape our land and take our resources, and we're not going to do anything about it. But what Iran said is, you want our resources, you want to come for our uranium and our oil, then come for it, right? We are going to fight about this, then we are going to wage a war. Like, we're not just going to allow you to just come and take everything for free. If you really want to steal it, then we are going to treat you like the thief you are. We're going to fight you. And so, now we are at a stalemate. If the US really wants everything that it wants from Iran, there's one way to go about it, right? They're going to have to fight Iran to get what it wants from Iran. That's pretty much about it. Now, I think the US would rather destroy Iran than have China benefit from there being a state of Iran. I know this sounds sadistic, but as long as Iran is there, they are going to cozy more towards China than towards the United States. And all that does is to make China more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. So they would rather destroy Iran to weaken China. But if they're able to destroy Iran and take whatever resources that Iran has and enrich themselves, that would be a better strategy. But there is no way of going into Iran and destroying Iran and still be able to take over Iran. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If American soldiers go into Iran to fight the Iranian regime, like they go like foot soldiers, go into the Iranian soil, they're not going to win that battle because Iranian soldiers and Iranian army, they know their terrain better than the United States knows the terrain of Iran. And this is why American soldiers could not win in Afghanistan. They could not win in Afghanistan because the Afghani soldiers know the terrain, knew the terrain better than the American soldiers. They knew the mountains better. They knew how to do what to do in the winter, because their winters are harsh, right? Things that American soldiers were not aware of, they were not prepared for. And they kept dying and dying and dying to the point where everybody was like, just get the soldiers out there before they all die. Just get them out there. We are just tired of seeing bodies and bodies covered in American flags. Okay. America lost our war straight, and and they just had to take out the soldiers there, right? They just had to take the soldiers out of that place. Now, okay, if American soldiers go into Iranian soil, they're going to be decimated, right? If they think like, oh, we can go into the Iranian soil and fight foot soldier war, like foot soldiers, like the pawns, they're going to be decimated. That's not a war they're going to use. The only way that they can win a war against Iran is to use bombs and missiles, right? Is to use bombs and missiles because they can go into the Iranian soil like foot soldiers and win. That is okay. America does not even have good food and nutrition to feed the soldiers right now. Like the soldiers, like they are getting these canned foods that have no nutrition. It's a big problem. Inside, if the soldiers, if they are going to fight a war inside, mm-mm. American soldiers are not going to make it, and they're not going to win the war. It's going to be a huge loss. If they stand a chance, is through bombing. And if they bomb, they might bomb the resources that they actually want. So they might end up bombing roads, they might end up bombing bridges, they might end up bombing hospitals or places for food. So, or they might even end up bombing the oil companies, or they might end up bombing the uranium plants that they want to get uranium from. Which will make it even harder to go after the bombing. Is going to be very hard for them then to go there and start extracting those resources that they so badly want from Iran. You get? It's a lose-lose proposition. You get what I mean? I don't have any allegiance to anybody, okay? I don't want war. I'm just analyzing. Okay, if you want to analyze things, you can't do it from taking sides, okay? If you want to have a clear way of doing things, you, you don't it's not intelligent to do that. It's not intelligent to go like, "Oh, I'm going to pick a side and analyze who is," it's kind of like how men do. They pick a side for their game, like whichever football game is going. Oh, I'm on this side, I'm on this side. And so they just hope my home team wins. Well, you can hope that your home team wins. It's good to pray for your home team, but if your home team is not well prepared, they're not going to win. Okay? As much as you want them, as as much as you would want them to win because you love your home team, if their strategy sucks, if they're not well prepared, if they don't know what they're doing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you want to die for your home team or not, okay? Trust me. The Kenyan football team, I love it. The Harambee Stars, I'd give them my money so that they go for a game. But they're not going to win against Ghana, okay? They're not going to win against Ghana, okay? Because their management sucks, you know, because their management really, really sucks. So Ghana is a much well managed team, okay? Always represents Africa very well in the World Cup finals. Our team, the Harambee Stars, don't. So it's really not about allegiance. I don't care about allegiance. Allegiance doesn't pay the bills. Allegiance doesn't bring food on the table. Allegiance doesn't make AU win. If you don't have a winning strategy, you don't have a winning strategy. And right now, all I'm interested is who has a winning strategy, right? Because war is determined even before it starts. Any game is won before even the game starts. It's won even before it started. So it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter. I don't want war, right? The best thing to do is to not go to war. But Trump is insisting on this war. And I'm looking at America's strategy and I'm like, I don't know. I just I don't see how America has a winning strategy. I am the conscious conductor of the infinite harmonic. My presence is a fractal of divine order radiating light through the golden ratio of the heart to harmonize the collective field. Okay. A lot of people are into that golden ratio thing. Now I'm saying the next World War III. World War III is going to be a nuclear war. Okay, that's the dark side of World War III. People have nukes. Okay. World War III is going to end in a few minutes. This is not a war that's going to drag on like World War II. No, 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 no. World War III is going to end in a few minutes. Somebody's gonna get nuked, and the story is going to end so quickly. And whoever has the best strategy wins. Okay, that's all is going to happen. Okay, right now is whoever has the most balls to nuke the other person. That's the person that wins the war. Okay, because whoever strikes the other country first with a nuclear weapon, that's the person that wins, and that's the person that controls the future for the next decades. Whoever nukes the other one first. This is World War III. This is not World War One. This is not World War II. We are not in the Roman Empire. People have the big guns right now. People have nukes. Okay? World War III is not going to be a long, extended war that's going to last like 5, 10 years. Okay? The war has not begun. But don't worry, it's not going like this. The war, when it starts, it's not going to drag. Okay? When the war starts, it's not going to drag. Don't think like, oh my goodness, they're going to keep nuking themselves for like 10, 15 years. No, nuclear weapons are very, very effective. So the war is not going to drag. Somebody is going to be decimated, somebody is going to be destroyed completely in a few minutes, you know. So, mhm. Yeah, don't worry about World War III. It's not going to be a drag. Maybe what's going to drag is the leading up to the war, the leading up to that fatal moment. Maybe there might be a drag. Maybe you will see food rising, prices in food. There'll be probably an extended Cold War. Maybe there's going to be an extended Cold War like the one that you're seeing with the Strait of Hormuz. It's open, it's closed. There's tariffs, there's not tariffs, right? All this time, if you see, if these conflicts kind of continue, like Israel is like, oh, I'm attacking Lebanon, I'm not attacking Lebanon, I want to take out Turkey. Right now Israel is eyeing Turkey. They want to take out the president of Turkey. So I'm just seeing like fires here, fires here, fires here, fires here, right? All I'm saying is you continue seeing this conflict. Right now the United States is probably at war with 11 countries. Just like a cold war. Okay, the kind of like, it's not a real war, but it's like we are not vibing kind of a thing. Okay, it's I want to put tariffs on Mexico. Mexico is a little bit mad. I want to annex Canada. Canada is a little bit mad. I want to take over Greenland, and Norway is a little bit mad, right? And then, there's Iran, there's Lebanon, there's Turkey, right? Like, there's Cuba now that the US is threatening. So you kind of have seen like all those countries would be allies of Russia and China. I'm just saying we are gearing to that World War III if they don't resolve these differences, right? Um, Wait, who owns is it Sweden? It's Sweden, right? Who owns Greenland? I'm actually Denmark. Yeah, sorry, Denmark, right? Um, so all those countries, right? They're like, wait, right? Okay, Europe. Yeah, those countries, they kind of look the same. Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, but anyway, those countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, right? They are in the Baltic Sea, North Sea, Baltic Sea, right? Germany is also there, right? Um, and they're not very far from the United States. So we will see the events there. So I don't I if Denmark is going to be like if Denmark feels threatened by the United States, I'm sure Sweden is not going to side with that. Maybe Germany might side with the United States, but I don't think Norway and Sweden will. I don't think Germany might. I don't think the Netherlands will, and I don't think Poland will side with the UN to annex Greenland. So we're going to see that. Sweden will not say anything. They're not about that life. That is so funny. They would rather keep quiet. Yeah, but Europe will think like, so if they take Canada, if the US takes Canada and then the US takes Greenland, then they become so powerful that the sovereignty of Europe becomes very questionable. This is why I see the inevitable alliances. New alliances will start forming. Like it's going to be pretty much inevitable that the new alliances are going to start forming, um, and forming and becoming more powerful. And I don't know why for the, I really don't understand. It's a very funny time. We live in history. I don't understand why Trump keeps making this the way he's making and encouraging these other countries to kind of come together. Like he didn't have to do this. It's not a good strategy. It's not a good strategy to embolden, to create more enemies and embolden them to come together against you, right? Like who wants more enemies? Like who wants more enemies? Like who wants to create more enemies? It's never a good strategy. So I'm like, why why does he keep insisting on doing this? It's going to be harder for the next US president to establish new relationships, especially if that president is going to be the Republican president. It's just going to be very, very hard for them to establish new relationships with other countries, especially if we get another Republican president. So let's say America keeps voting a Republican president because America believes the Republican president is the best president for the United States, and they're the president that makes the United States more powerful and prioritizes the interest of the American people, right? Let's just say it's a total like narcissistic Mimi situation. We get everything, you get nothing. and this is our strategy that we are going to employ to the whole world, you just not gonna get anything. We get everything, and you should be grateful that you're even breathing and on this rock, right? Um, it's going to be very, very hard for them to be in the good graces of Canada again, Denmark again. It's just not going to be an idea. I don't see how, it's kind of like somebody being like, okay, I want your land, but we can be friends. Okay, I want all your minerals, but we can be friends. No, I don't think Europe, particularly Europe, will do that. Europe will be like, I know who your enemies are. I know who your enemies are, and I know how to use them against you, right? That is a very normal strategy for people to use. Already, Europe does not like Israel. Like, already, they're kind of fed up with it. And I'm sure Europe is asking, like, how do we get rid of this one? How do we make it go away, right? Yeah. I don't know. You can tell me that nobody is not thinking about how to get Netanyahu out of the way. At least, even if it's not like the whole of Israel, I think their leadership, I think somebody out there in the world is already thinking about, okay, these people are terrible. Do you want to still keep them, or do you want to get rid of them? I believe that conversation is happening somewhere in the world. I don't know, there's somewhere in the universe, it's 5 o'clock, and somebody is getting a glass of wine and thinking, how do we get rid of these bastards? Yeah, that conversation is happening somewhere on this planet. Maybe President Z, maybe President Putin, maybe somebody in Denmark, maybe somebody in Canada, maybe somebody in Lebanon, maybe somebody in Iran. Okay. I don't know why President Trump doesn't have this calculation going on, but we will see on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we are supposed to apparently know the outcome of the ceasefire, whether they have agreed to open the strait or it's going to remain closed. Right now, nothing is moving. Right now, I think they are gathering more US army to go down the Middle East. That's the big problem. If a lot of soldiers go into the Middle East, who is going to be protecting here? If a lot of them go down there, because that's a big war, right? If they all go there, or how much of the US Army goes out there and how much gets to remain home to protect their home front, right? That's when it becomes a numbers game, right? That's when it becomes a numbers game. Some people are out in the sea. How many do you have here to protect their home country? Remember, somebody like China has like 200 million soldiers. You're talking about 200 million soldiers because China has a billion plus people. We don't even have that much people here in the United States, okay? That's about the population of the entire United States. It's like 300 million, and we're including children. already the numbers are not in favor, you know, let's say we send, let's say we have an exaggerated army, let's say we have 100 million soldiers in the United States, right? Let's say we have 100 million. We decide to send 20 million, right? We decide to send 20 million into the Middle East. Okay, now we have 80 million. If anything happens to them, right, you kind of have to send more reinforcements. But let's say war really breaks out and there's Russia and there's China, and they both collectively send out like 50 million. That's overwhelming, right? They sent 50 million there. It's overwhelming for the 20 million, okay? But they still have like 200 million more. And we are down to like 60 million now. But they still would have like 20 million soldiers. Okay? Numbers game. That's when I say, before you go into the war, the outcome is already kind of decided. Okay? The outcome of that war is already kind of decided even before you start a war. The outcome is already decided, because a lot of people think, oh, it's just a war between Iran and the United States. But that war between Iran and the United States is meant to hurt China, right? It's just that the US does not have the guts right now to attack China directly, so it wants to attack it indirectly, right? Because it doesn't like the oil going to China, doesn't like uranium coming or going to and from China, right? So it's really a war geared towards Israel and China. It's geared for China, but the US doesn't have the balls to go into the war directly, direct confrontation with China right now. Doesn't have the balls, doesn't want to do it, but is hoping to gain strategic power that if it needed to, it can overcome China. So that's why it wants Greenland. That's why it wants Canada. But that's kind of where the United States exposes its weaknesses. That's when the kind of where the US exposes its weaknesses. So China is saying, to defeat me, you really need to have control of Greenland, and you really need to have control of Canada, and you need to have control of places like Cuba and Venezuela, right? The US has to bite a big one and hope that it can chew the whole chunk so that it can be able to have enough muscle to bite China. That tells China and Russia they have a competitive advantage at this point. They have some advantage at this point. There's a window of advantage that they have because the US already doesn't have Canada right now, and it doesn't have the Greenland right now. And if it needs those, and if it needs those to be powerful, that just exposes some sort of structural weaknesses. And those are areas that China and Putin can exploit. I'm just saying that I don't know if they are going to do it. I don't know if they're not going to do it. I'm just looking at Putin and knowing that he's a master strategist, okay? Putin has been the leader of Russia ever since I knew Russia existed. He's gone into the army, he's trained with his soldiers, he knows the art of war. So that's another advantage that these countries they are being led by a younger president. I mean, he's a psychopath. I'm not going to say like Putin is a. I know he's here. People like Putin are nuts, okay? Because these are guys that can easily kill you, order somebody to be unalived, and they will go and have a good time, eat, be whatever, eat and drink and sleep, okay? Like Putin is a kind of a person who eats, drinks, sleeps, exercises, and then the next day he says, kill that guy. That one goes, annex that country called Ukraine. I don't care who dies. I want just take them out, right? Okay. So you kind of know what kind of a guy he is. But the thing is, he's trained in the Russian army. He's been in the army himself. Like he started off as a soldier. He knows he knows how to fight in the army. He knows the strategies of war. He's going against President Trump, the guy who had to take a doctor's notes that he has bone spars so that he doesn't go into the army, so that he does not fight, so he does not, he refused to go to war because, he could get away with being drafted. Okay. 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 If somebody was going to decide how to attack anything, where to go anywhere, okay? President Putin has a better knowledge of war and strategy than President Trump. Okay, now President Trump has the advantage that he has generals and well trained. I mean, he has the best military in the world, let's say. He has a very, very great generals, people who know war, people who fought wars and won, people who have experience with fighting in the Middle East. He has like all this advantage of very, very talented military men of the US Army. But he puts in Hegseth, okay, as the Secretary of Defense. Okay, now we have Hegseth. Okay, Trump is not a good listener, and then you have Hegseth. And I think, I mean, yeah, like you like the US has very good military like people in the Pentagon know how to wage a war, okay? They know preemptive strikes. Like if you listened to them, you see how they attacked the Venezuelan president, just took him out, okay? They just took him out very swiftly, very quickly. It was like, it was preemptive, it was quick, right? That tells me, they they know how to fight, okay? They're still very brilliant, they're still very good. Will the president take advantage of that, right? Will he listen to the captains, to the generals, to everybody that knows? Or will he be like, I know everything, and it's my way, you know? Will he listen to them, or will he just like go on Truth Social and tweet however he wants? Because the ability these are the guys who know everything. These are the guys who have competitive advantage. These are the people who can tell him how to win the war. Is he going to listen to them? Okay, because this is not a president who has been in the army and knows how to fight. He's the president who will bring a doctor's note and say, I have bone spurs, I cannot go into the army, I cannot fight. Right? Not a man ready to die for his country in any way. Um, Trust me, I slept very well last night. It's just that this is the topic of the day, right? Like they like few things are going to top the event this week of the Strait of Hormuz and the US politics. And because food prices are getting expensive, food is expensive, gas is expensive, things are just starting to go up. Hi, Ronald. Ronaldo on Calvis. Like, how do you say your name? Okay. Okay. So on the other hand, the Ashley Janae case that is so there's this black girl who met this white millionaire and they went to Zanzibar. Her name is Ashley Janae. And okay, looks like he murdered her. But the internet is all up like girls should know better, blah 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 blah. Let me tell you, do not even blame girls because okay, just last February, 61 million on a site that shows them how to rape and beat women. Like that whole site, that man like had a traffic of 61 million only in February. And there were men there learning how to sexually assault women. That too is just like a demonic site. Okay, it's demonic. There's nothing good about it, right? You can blame people like Ashley Jeanette, but that girl, she is in an environment that's teaching men how to violently attack women, right? uh he knows better. No business can be undertaken on hotel grounds. So I mean, then there was like this you see this all the time. You see there's this there's this former mayor of Florida. Was he a former whatever? He murdered his wife of 14 years with the kids in the house, right? Unalived his wife of 14 years with his kids in the house. So you can tell girls all the time to be careful about this guy, this guy, this guy. Okay? You could be with your murderer, living with him in the house for 14 years. What are you gonna do? Right? You know, you know, people are telling women all this, like they're not, if men are learning how to be violent, if those are the programs that they are investing their time on, their money on, um you know, it's not the women that are planning how to it's not the women that are planning how to annihilate men. We are not the ones going to school or going on sites to learn those things. It's not the women, it's the men who are going and doing this demonic stuff. So it doesn't matter if you know him for 5 years, if you know him for 2 months, if you know him for 3 months, okay? It really doesn't matter. If somebody has been visiting these demonic websites that show him how to rape women and be violent towards women, there is nothing you can do to such a demonic person, right? He can pretend to like you, you know. He pretended to even propose to her. Okay, so her guard was really off, because you can't imagine somebody proposing to you and then murdering you. And this is something that I know that men are being shown on those sites, because the number of men is, I've seen a lot of black men do that. They propose to a black woman, they get married, and then they murder her. Okay, because that's the best time to murder somebody, when they least expect that you're going to murder them. Okay, you already proposed to them, you are, you know, they're in this mindset. They're calling their friends, they're showing them the ring, they're telling them how life is now going to go into another different phase, where they have a partner. Now they have somebody in their life that really is committed to helping, you know, them go through the life journey together, share things together, create memories together, maybe have children, visit places together. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, I have a partner that now we can begin to 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 live together, right? Their guard is so low, like, you know, they're not telling their friends that, oh, they're talking about, you know, like the proposal, and then this guy turns into a monster and then murders her, and then you will go on the internet and blame the victim. You're going to go on the internet and say, this person has been visiting all these violent sites, they have been planning this. How is she supposed to know these things, right? How is she supposed to know that this person is just that evil? These are things that men are doing. If somebody can murder their wife of 14 years with the kids in the house, yeah, he already was a monster. You know, he already was a monster. He already knew the first time that he saw her that he was going to murder her. Okay? I know that he already knew the first time that he met this woman that he was going to murder her. And it was just going to be a matter of time that he was going to put on this act, pretend that he's a loving boyfriend, take her to nice dinners, okay? Because I, I don't think this was something random. I know he was probably one of those 61 million men going on those violent websites. I knew he planned to get her out of the country into a place like Zanzibar, okay, in the middle of nowhere. She was very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. And this is demonic. And I think he's going to get away with it, because there is no other place that's more corrupt than Africa, okay? If you want corruption, if this guy has millions of dollars, okay? The way that they are going to reason is, first of all, Zanzibar, Zanzibar is a Muslim country. Yeah, why do I lie to you? Okay, Zanzibar is a Muslim country. Muslim countries have little respect for women. Zero, in fact. Okay. They got zero respect for women. Okay. Then this guy is a white dude. Okay. These people are white supremacists and they worship whiteness. Okay. Zanzibar is full of people who bleach their skin. Okay. Yeah, Zanzibar is a shithole country. They bleach their skin. Okay. It's probably one of those African countries where they bleach their skin the most. Okay. They want to look white. Okay. Do I need to expound it? Do I need to show you how this is going to play out? Do you really want me to show you how this is going to play out? Because y'all know how this is going to play out. Yeah, pay police, get away with it. Okay. This murderer is going to walk free because he knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to go into a shithole country, kill somebody, and get away with it. I know because I'm sure he read that on those websites that are training men how to kill and essay women. He must have found that. Yeah. You know that girl who was murdered by her friends in Mexico, Shanquella Robinson. They went to Mexico. All her friends beat her up, and then they murdered her. Nobody has been caught because you go to a shithole country, you murder somebody, and you have money, you'll get away with it. And then there was this other white woman who was murdered by her husband. I think were they in Barbados? Ocean. Her body has not been found. But they arrested the guy, but they could not hold him because they have no evidence he killed her and they don't see the body. So they let him go. And so he left and flee the country. He flee. He's going to get away with murdering somebody. This is happening so often. Too much. Too much. Too much. Too much. He must have thrown her off the little dinghy because they had left their ship, left their boat, and they went for dinner, but they went into like a small dinghy where they were just kind of whatever. He must have thrown her overboard. Um, but anyway, her family says she was a good swimmer, right? Her family says she could have swum. So he probably hit her with something, or anchor around her, because her body's not been found, right? I'm thinking he probably put an anchor and then put it like made her disappear into the ocean. I'm sure that's what he did. In my mind, like I'm thinking, how else? Why is her body should be found by now, okay? If she just like went into the ocean, right? Her body could have washed into the shore by now. Yeah, a rogue wave would have come and wiped her into the shore because you know how the ocean is like. The ocean is so strong, it has its own natural buoyancy that it brings things to the surface and washes them into the shore. He must have put an anchor around her. Even if you're eaten by sharks, sharks, eh, how sharks attack people? Sharks, sharks don't beat. Sharks bite, okay? Sharks bite here and there. They don't like go on to finish a meal, okay? Like even if you are bitten by a shark, we're bound to see a leg or an arm or some body part float, okay? We are bound to see that. It will float somewhere somehow. We're talking about this woman that her husband like killed her in Barbados. Her name was Renette Hooker, right? Um,
He's just got some really bad luck. And don't be too hard on him, everybody, because apparently he is in a, and I'm quoting, extremely fragile state tonight because he's being questioned. He's worried about his mental state. He's fragile. While search parties are still out in that cold, turbulent water looking for Lynette. Listen to all of these coinkydinks. Randy Kessler, she bounced off the dinghy. How does a person bounce? Okay, I guess maybe according to you, that's just semantics. Um, 20 odd winds popped up suddenly there just when they got away from the restaurant and got on the dinghy. And then suddenly, as soon as they got away from the winds popped up, and quote, every single thing failed. Coincidence number three, veteran swimmers and boaters were not wearing life jackets at night on turbulent waters. Then, amazingly, time worked against them. In just 10 minutes, the sun went down. And the kill switch was not, it was in her dry bag, and it wasn't clipped to anything. It wasn't on a lanyard, nothing. Now, it was inflated because the dry pouch was folded over. I don't think that's ever been found. Another coincidence.
he killed his wife. You can't tell me his wife knew how to swim. His wife knew his wife, okay, his wife all her life, okay, she was raised sailing, okay, she knew how to swim. She knew how to do all these things, okay. uh, he says like some wind knocks. You know how hard it is for the wind to just knock you off? The wind does not knock anybody off. She killed herself. you know like, let me tell you, men are here unaliving women on these streets, right? Unaliving women on these streets. And then we have like Nancy Guthrie, right, who's been missing, right? She hasn't been found for over a month, just missing, right? For me, I'm sure the authorities had something to do with this woman's disappearance, with all these Epstein files. It's actually been more than 3 months right now, almost 3 months. Wicked, wicked people. Let's look at this girl from Ashley Janae. Ashley Janae.
Police screaming and shouting. It had to be. Yes. What happened? Had another Instagram page that has been taken down. No, Instagram has been taken down. Had Instagram. Had Google what it was. Because I saw somebody could call from the Instagram page. And so it has been taken out. You guys, I'm just marinating. So it sounds like this is a little bit deeper than what we initially thought. It sounds like there's still some conflicting details. We would need everyone to read this case in order for us to get the full story. I was going to say that he took Tanzania because the country has no good relationship with the US, first of all, on the values. So everything that's going to come out is not going to be authentic. Some of Zanzibar. I'm an African American. You can say whatever you want about them. Oh, the footprint. Right. All right. No hair. Not like somebody who's doing that for the first time. Police and arrived. Elaborate on this. Tell us a little bit about culture and foreign countries such as Zanzibar, or Tanzania, Africa.
Let me tell you, I just told you right now, Zanzibar, when it comes to the rule of law, justice, it's a shit whole country. Okay? Same thing. And I would not even question him. Okay? Trump says a lot of bad things. But when he says some countries are shithole countries, like Zanzibar, it is a shithole country because they are not going to do anything to help this lady, okay, and her family find any kind of justice. They're not going to do anything. First of all, it's a Muslim country, and you know how they are about women. Okay? They got like almost zero respect for women. So I don't think she's going to receive any justice there. If they are going to get money from it, then they are going to be like, okay, then we're going to get some money from it. They're not going to get any justice to her family. She's not going to get any justice. None whatsoever. It's not gonna happen. Okay? He chose that country because he knew it was a she-hole country. There's no rule of law, there's no justice, there is nothing. Okay? He knew exactly why he went. If it was Kenya, it would have been probably a different deal. He would be arrested right now. I think that's why I mean, I'm not saying Kenya, he would not get away with it. He would have definitely gotten away with it in Kenya too, like 1000%. Okay. But he would probably go through the whole justice system, go through trial, get arrested, get an investigation, go through trial, but he would probably he'll probably like after the whole thing in Kenya, he'll probably get like 8 minutes in jail and then he'll be free. Okay. Tanzania will have to prove to me that they are not a shithole country because I know he's going to get away with murder. Let me tell you. Let's see he doesn't get away with murder. Do you know the president of Tanzania, Suluhu? She had journalists raped last year, okay? And I covered that story here. She had journalists raped, beaten up, okay? And I'm not, you know why I am blaming it, okay? Because Kenyans have disappeared in Zanzibar, okay? We have a Kenyan couple that disappeared in Zanzibar and they have never ever been found, okay? This couple went to Zanzibar for their honeymoon. It's been more than 20 years now, right? They went to Zanzibar for their honeymoon and never ever been seen again, okay? I've heard despicable things about child trafficking um happening in Zanzibar, okay? I'm not saying because they are Muslims. Zanzibar is Muslim, okay? Tanzania is not always Muslim, but Zanzibar is particularly Muslim, okay? And the things that I have heard, not just not just in Zanzibar, also Dubai, the Emirates, okay? This is a running theme, okay? The problem is Muslims don't talk about it, and that makes it feel like they are complicit to the abuse. Because if you're not going to talk about it, then it means that you're partaking in it. Your silence is also partaking in it. I am particularly worried because this is a Muslim country where such things get swept under the rug. Okay? Particularly concerned. Particularly concerned because it's very, very disappointing, that white people can get away with any crime anywhere. White men, okay? It's very particularly disappointing because you see the Epstein files. You see the Epstein files, okay? The people who have eaten children, beaten children, essayed children. These are people who put children in a coffin, okay? And they put spiders, they put snakes there, they put all manner of things to scare that child, okay? Because they're fucking monsters. They like to torture people, okay? And these white men are getting away with anything, anywhere. Okay? These white men are getting away with all these crimes everywhere. I mean, to the point where they eat children. Yeah, they put kids in a coffin. Okay? They put snakes there. They put spiders. They put like worms and things there, and then they close the coffin. Do you know how scared a child is? The point is to torture them. Okay? The point is to make them afraid, and all these things happened in the files. Okay, this is what those demonic Freemasons do, because it's a satanic religion. Okay, it's the occult. This is what they do. And it's not just Muslim countries. This is affiliated with Israelis too. All these people in Netanyahu, in Epstein files, all these people are related to Israel too. The point of the Israeli army, of the Israeli government, like Netanyahu, is very demonic, okay? They hire somebody like Epstein, right? They get somebody like Epstein, they hire them, and they tell them, we want videos, we want photos, we want something that we can use against this man, okay? So Epstein goes, creates a good fancy island, puts cameras everywhere to be abused, to be raped, to be tortured, to be eaten. Now he gets his videos and gives them to the Israeli people. Now they tell Trump, we have a photo of you with a 13-year-old. Okay? Now you're going to give us 10 billion to attack Iran. If you don't give us 10 billion to attack Iran, well, we're going to expose you. We have videos. What is he gonna do? Because they got videos, allegedly, okay? Allegedly. They got videos on American politicians essaying children, torturing children, all these things. So they use this. I know it's a satanic thing, okay? It's satanic, it's demonic, okay? They use children and child abuse as leverage to blackmail American politicians. Money so that they can do whatever not, whether they can invade Pakistan, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, so they have this money, okay? That's why people in America are starting to ask, why is America always sucking up to Israel? Because you like to fuck little children and they caught you and they have you on video. Now they got leverage. Now they got leverage. That Epstein was a spy. Okay? The good thing about Epstein is he was a good spy because he did not have a conscience. Okay? Epstein was good at his job because he did not have a conscience like any good spy. Okay? A spy will do anything. A spy will sleep with the enemy. Okay? Spies, I mean, Epstein is probably the most despicable of all spies. Okay? He was willing to do just about anything. Okay? He will go to the little, those little pageants where they have like toddlers and tiaras. He would go to those parties with Ghislaine Maxwell and they would get children age 3, 4, 5. Okay? They will get them to these big billionaires so that they can have sex. They can molest those kids, sometimes eat them. And in Epstein files, they liked to eat white kids. And so, I mean, they hate eating black kids. Oh God, thank you, Lord, that they hate black kids that much. They were like, ew. Can you imagine how it would be to eat sushi? And they were like, oh, I would not eat black sushi. Okay, they would not eat black sushi. I mean, they like white sushi. That means they like to eat kids. Okay, you guys think this is a joke, and this is why, like, I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see.
So 3.5 dropped today. I have been going through them for hours. I'm not done. No one is done. This is going to take weeks, but I need to tell you what I'm finding so far because this is significant. I'm Eliza Orleans, career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan. And so I've seen a lot, but this is different. And so I want to start with a trigger warning. And you know this if you've been following the Epstein files coverage, whether it's mine or anyone else's. This stuff is heavy. So please be gentle with yourself because reading through this material day after day, trying to verify things, trying to report it accurately, trying not to
I don't know why I keep doing this every time. Every time I want to play Epstein files.
sensationalize it, but also not minimize it. It is a lot. It's a fucking lot. Okay, so let me walk you through what I'm finding. First of all, let's talk about Elon Musk. Musk has said publicly multiple times that Epstein tried to repeatedly get me to visit his island and I refused. He posted that on X, direct quote. And which put out an article saying that Elon Musk planned a trip to Epstein's private island newly.
I know they keep doing this to my internet whenever.
Elon tweeted back, "This is false." Well, the new batch of emails tells a very different story. In November 2012, years asks, "How many people Musk is bringing for the helicopter to the island?" Musk responds, "Probably just Tallulah and me. What day/night will be the wildest party on your island?" The wildest party on a registered sex offender's island. 1 month later, Christmas Day 2012, Musk emails Epstein again. "Do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of sanity this year, and so once my kids head home after Christmas, I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's, sick, or elsewhere and let loose. The invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for." Elon Musk is not refusing anything, he's asking for more. He's saying the island isn't wild enough, that he doesn't want a peaceful experience. He's actively pursuing Jeffrey Epstein for parties over multiple months. Then, fast forward to February 2013. Epstein emails the CEO of Activision Blizzard, "The girls and I are going to see Elon Musk at SpaceX tomorrow." The girls. His assistant confirms it. Jeffrey Epstein and three of his assistants are in California and going to visit SpaceX at 1 o'clock today. We know what the girls meant. We know what Jeffrey Epstein's assistants were. Then, December 2013, a full year later, Musk is still at it. "We'll be in the BV St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit?" Epstein, "I will send heli for you, always space for you." So when Elon Musk tells you he refused Epstein's invitation, well, we have the receipts now. 2 years of emails, him asking for parties, him asking for the wild night, Epstein sending helicopters. He wasn't refusing anything. Then there's Donald Trump, of course. An FBI interview from today's release, a 3002. Elaine Maxwell operated at parties. A victim tells the FBI that Maxwell brought her to a party in New York and presented her to Donald Trump. Her word, presented like merchandise. They talked for about 20 minutes. The victim was then invited to Mar-a-Lago, where Trump personally gave her a tour with Epstein and Maxwell present. The FBI report says, quote, "Nothing happened between the victim and Trump." But here's what else it says. Maxwell made clear to the victim that she was available. Maxwell said things like, "Oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky? This is great. And oh, he'll like this, doesn't like that." The report says it was, quote, "set up very much like how Maxwell introduced the victim to Epstein. The same playbook, the same presentation, Mar-a-Lago." Maxwell also introduced this same victim to other men at these events. Their names? Redacted. Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, I need to warn you again because what I'm about to describe in these FBI documents released today is a victim's account of what happened to her, and it's horrific. A victim who was 16 years old describes how Epstein's assistant Sarah would call her every time Epstein was in Palm Beach and schedule appointments for her visit. Each time, she says, something new was introduced. Each time, additional monies were produced and offered to get her to comply. She describes being forced to perform sex acts with Epstein and another woman. She says Epstein would photograph them and proudly display the photographs within the home. And then she describes what happened during one massage. She says Epstein grabbed her, turned her over onto her stomach on the massage table, and, quoting from the document, forcibly inserted his penis into her vagina. She says her head was being held against the table. She screamed no, and Epstein stopped. Afterward, he apologized and he paid her $1,000. She said he still continued to display the photographs of her throughout the house. This is who Jeffrey Epstein was, not a socialite. Epstein Files Transparency Act. They've released 3.5 million to this point, barely half. And here's what's happening. Survivors' names are appearing unredacted in these documents. Their information is being exposed. Meanwhile, the powerful men who abused them still redacted behind black bars. There's an FBI chart from 5 days after Epstein's death listing 8 co-conspirators. Only 2 faces are visible: Maxwell and Jean-Luc Brunel. 6 are still redacted. 6 co-conspirators still protected.
They are protecting the criminals, okay? They have released the Epstein files, but they're still protecting the criminals. They're telling us, oh, this is the bad things that happened, but they're protecting the names of the criminals.
Oh, this is being sold as transparency, but what it actually does is expose survivors. Once again, survivors are having their names and identifying information exposed, while the men who abused us remain hidden and protected. They're protecting the wrong people. Okay, well, that's what I have so far.
So, exactly. So, you know, if you don't think like all these rich white men are getting away with like the most horrific of crimes, the world is ruled by predators and child pedophiles. And the quicker you open your eyes and see this, the better you have an understanding of the environment that you're actually in. It's not good. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, white people need to come together and decide that they're not going to allow themselves to be led by pedophiles. Like they can do better. Like I never protect. If you've seen me and me talk about Africa, I never protect Africa. I don't come here and tell you how good Africa is. Okay? I lie to you that we have the best leaders in the world. Okay? I say it as it is. It's time white people stop protecting leaders like this. Okay? Y'all keep telling us how good you're, the best country in the world, how you're good, how you're better than everybody else, and you're being led by predators and pedophiles. I mean, take off the mask. Everybody can see it. Okay? Everybody can see it. Okay? Okay? Stop pretending, you know, your your whole empire is led by predators. See the light. See the light. You know? Um, like Epstein, you may not like him. I don't like him. He's the most disgusting people. But Epstein showed you who your leaders are. He caught them on camera, took photos of them, and sold that information to give himself leverage. He showed you exactly who these leaders. I mean, you have somebody like Elon Musk begging Epstein that he can go on his island so that he can essay other children, like, because that's what they were doing, begging. And he caught them on camera. And he gave that information to people like Netanyahu and the Israeli uh, government. You don't think that's enough leverage to cause wars around the planet? Because they know these men like to be respected, but they have been caught in the most vile situations, probably eating humans, essaying children, okay, forcing themselves on women. I'm not going anywhere, okay? Like I feel bad for people like Sam who think that just because somebody is in America can't say about the despicable things. No, I'm here to expose the devil. Okay? I'm here to expose the devil because I'm a child of God, and you have to expose the devil, whether he's in America, whether he's in Africa. The devil needs to be exposed, right? If you want to protect the devil, you go live with him, okay? But we are here to expose the demonic forces on this planet, okay? We are to expose the devil and his work, right? And Some people like you here, you will get out of my channel and never come here again, right? These people eat children. Okay, I have no respect for them. Okay, I have no respect for anybody on the Epstein files. Okay, now Sam, you're the one who's going to leave my channel. Now you go. How about you leave my channel? How about you have nothing to say around here, because I don't have time for you.
And court depositions. I looked through all of them, and these are the 25 most interesting things that I found in them. The first is that Jeffrey Epstein and the people around him frequently alluded to having some kind of dirt on President Donald Trump. The emails span from before he first became president to 2009. 19 when Jeff 2011 is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. You can see her name right there, G Max. And Jeffrey Epstein says, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia, meaning Virginia Roberts, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. The police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Now, I'm not quite sure what he means by I'm 75% there, but Ghislaine Maxwell responds, I've been thinking about that. Dot dot dot. In this email from Mark Epstein, who's Jeffrey Epstein's younger brother, Mark Epstein initially asks Jeffrey about being possibly pre-diabetic, and then he asks, "What is your boy Donald up to now?" Jeffrey responds, "All good. Bannon with me," meaning Steve Bannon, one of the former advisors to Donald Trump. And Mark Epstein says, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump and Bubba, alluding to some sort of illicit encounter. On top of that, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but Jeffrey Epstein strikes up a sort of friendship with Landon Thomas Jr., who at the time was a reporter for the New York Times, reporting on business and markets. And Jeffrey Epstein offers him photos of Donald Trump. He says, quote, would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? It's unclear if those photos were actually sent. Obviously, they weren't included in this set of documents, or else you would have heard about it on the news. But Landon Thomas photos would be coming. On October 13th, 2016, Mark Epstein sends Jeffrey Epstein another email containing a full-sized image of Donald Trump that says, would you trust this man with your dog? Finally, there's Michael Wolff, who is a New York journalist. He's written a lot of books on Donald Trump, generally from a negative standpoint. But as we'll get into later, he was quite cozy with Jeffrey Epstein, had an extensive friendship over many years, and exchanged many emails. In this one, he strongly urges Jeffrey Epstein to come out with information about Donald Trump a week before the 2016 election. Now, reading through these emails, it's really not clear to me that Jeffrey Epstein had information on Donald Trump. They certainly hinted to it. However, Jeffrey Epstein tended to exaggerate aspects of his life and be sort of deceptive about the people that he knew in order to angle for information and connections to new people. So I'm not sure how much stock I would put in that. That might also explain the next point, which is that Jeffrey Epstein seems partly to have hated Trump, which has been covered extensively in the news. But the aspect that has been almost completely ignored by the mainstream news is that he was often willing to defend and Donald Trump's first presidential term. Jeffrey Epstein texts an anonymous person and says, I'd really like Donald to triumph. If there's something you think I can do to help, let me know. In these text logs, Jeffrey Epstein texts someone whose name is redacted. I'm not sure, it might be Steve Bannon. And he sends this person an article by Ann Coulter, who's a prominent right wing conservative commentator. And the article was negative about Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein texts, I'm on her team. The person responds, she can make you a household name, and not in a positive way. Epstein says, but I'm not a Democrat. Now, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Jeffrey Epstein obviously was no social conservative. However, he did donate to multiple prominent Republicans and Democrats. And in these emails, you can kind of see him playing both sides. On one hand, he'll be texting Steve Bannon about, wanting to support Donald Trump. And on the other hand, he'll be conversing with high powered New York City lawyers talking about how bad Donald Trump is. So, in honesty, I think it's more likely that Jeffrey Epstein kind of existed outside of politics and didn't quite care so much what happened on the day to day as long as his personal life was taken care of. You can see that exact dynamic in these emails between Kathy Remler, who's a
In a way, to be honest, the one thing that they have right now that's damning against Donald Trump is that he spent a whole day in a house with a 13-year-old. Okay, which is like quite alarming. Like, what are you doing in a house with a 13-year-old? I think that's the most damning evidence. And the fact that he's been on Epstein Island for like more than 20 times. That's quite damning on its own. But that's kind of what I have heard. What I know is they must know more than they're talking about, okay? Trump must know more than he's talking about. I'm not saying that he participated in everything. I know he probably did a lot of things that, could land him in jail, but I know he's protecting a lot more powerful people. Like, he's protecting way more. Like, I knew he was going to protect these people when he was asked during his presidential election whether he was going to release the Epstein file, and everything in his body said no. you know then after a few pauses he said yes, but you knew he wasn't going to release those files. He fought for these files not to be released. He did not want these files out. The files got out, redacted the names of the people who committed the crimes. Like, the people who committed these crimes, their names have been taken out of those files. And you can see how damning Epstein was. Epstein, as a spy, he was meticulous. Like, all these are files from, I think, from Epstein estate. He documented everything. Okay. Hey, I have to give credit where it's due, even if it's for the pedophile Epstein, okay? He was meticulous in recording everything. He put cameras everywhere. He kept all the emails. He filed them, okay? Like his life depended on it, because it did, and he was murdered. You may think Epstein committed suicide, but I know in my hearts of hearts, Epstein was murdered, okay? I'm sure they probably turned all the lights in the cell off, gave somebody the key, had somebody go to his cell, had somebody unalive him, get out of there, and then they turned all the lights on and all the cameras come back on, and they're like, oh, there's footage in the camera that's missing. That time that's missing on the cameras, I'm sure they turned camera, had somebody go there, turned off the lights, had somebody kill him, get everything out, and then turned on the camera once they know the scene looks like. And then they were like, yeah, we don't know, between this time and this time the cameras were off and he died. He must have committed suicide and blinded the camera. And then we just found him. Nobody cares about Epstein, okay? This is why you should not even mess with the devil. Epstein is dead. Nobody ever cares about Epstein. Nobody is being investigated about Epstein death. Okay? As far as the world is concerned, he committed suicide and it's end of story. Epstein's death was worthless. Okay? I mean, nobody cares about Epstein. You know, even if I think like even like people don't have any kind of respect for Ashley Janae and the way she was murdered, at least they'll do some investigation. With somebody like Epstein, it's labeled suicide and there is not going to be any investigation because nobody cares. Like, I won't waste my breath to go look about who killed Epstein. It was among one of his evil clients. Obviously, he had enough powerful clients, and one of them unalived him outside of the political world, right? Um, like, but these people, I tell you, they ate children. They forced some girls to have babies. Okay, they would take like these Middle Eastern girls that were like 15 years old and say them they'd get pregnant. I don't even know what they did to those babies. But some of them were like breeding machines. Like they are like, oh, we like your blue eyes and blonde hair, so we are going to have somebody have a baby with you because these are the features we want, right? They are kind of like breeding, you know, the handmaid's tale, like they were kind of like there for breeding. But these occults, sometimes they will have these girls abort the babies and eat those babies that have been aborted. That's what they do. Funny how Christians on the right say that they are pro-life when they vote for a party of people who actually eat children. They will force these girls to get aborted, and you hear Epstein say clearly he's not a Democrat. It is very disturbing. I know people don't want to look at it because they don't, again, people like to protect their mind. They like to protect themselves. They don't really want to see what's on those Epstein files. They will sometimes would force these girls to have abortions of the babies that they created, and then they would eat the babies. These Epstein files are dark. Dark, dark, dark. Okay? Okay, but did you guys hear what Sloan Bella was saying about?
The biggest problem and the most concerning part about the Epstein files isn't just getting justice for the survivors, it's national security. Even if just a fraction of the allegations are true, if powerful people in our government are compromised, if it's not just gossip, that's leverage. Leverage from who? Other countries, intelligence agencies, anyone who has access to that information. And that means that decisions that are made at the highest level might not actually being made in the best interest of American citizens. That's a real risk here, not just who did what, but who controls what because of what they did. Here's the most important part. The simplest way to remove blackmail is complete transparency. Release everything, names, records, connections, within the bounds of protecting the survivors. Because blackmail only works when it's quiet. The second it becomes public, the leverage is gone. If there's nothing,
Exactly. This is the thing, right? Everybody on those Epstein files, remember, Epstein was a spy, right? Working with the Israeli government to compromise American, American politicians so that Israel can be able to take money from America. Now, okay, as long as the Epstein files remain secret, Israel still has leverage over American citizens, and that means the American politicians are not working in the best interest of the Americans, they are working in the best interest of Israel. Okay? It's not going to keep working as long for America as long as the names here remain secret. Right? It means that whichever government you're going to vote for, whether you're voting for the Republican Party or whether you're going to vote for this other party, the Democrat Party, they are going to still keep funding the war in Israel because these people have leverage. They have videos, they have photos, they got everything. Unless you open up this file and make all the names open so everybody can see what's on those files and who did what, right? And then the leverage goes. And then you can decide whether you're going to hold these people accountable for their crimes or they're going to go to jail. But I think the worst thing that is happening right now is that American interests are not safe anymore. As long as they don't align with the Israeli interests or any other government that has a hold of these Epstein files, that's going to be a big problem for the United States right here or in the future. I mean, it has been, right? No more blaming Epstein and Muslims. Let's be accountable, right? Yeah, for sure. But, world governments are like this. This is what I tell men to read that Bible verse in the books of Proverbs where uh, not, where King Lemuel is being given advice by his mother, right? Being given advice by his mother. And he's always being told to live a morally upright lifestyle because he knows that the way his enemies are going to come to his life is going to be through his weaknesses for sex, his weaknesses for drugs, his weaknesses for this low life. Okay, King Lemuel is being advised by his mom because the mother is the queen and she already knows the things that bring kings and powerful men down. Okay, it's this nature, right? This nature where they are kind of disgusting nature, right? It's their disgusting nature that actually brings them down, right? Their, this ugliness, right? They want to have too much sex, they want to have too many drugs. He was telling her, stay away from women who are going to use sex against you. And obviously he meant also for stay away from spies like Epstein that are going to use your weakness and your stupidity against you. Yeah, it's in the book of Proverbs. And let me see these Proverbs. And you can see how an empire like the United States can be brought down to its knees, right? Because of this kind of wickedness. Okay, now President Trump is trying to go to war that Israel wants and demands, because he must keep the names of the Epstein files secret. And this war is going to bring down this empire because there's no strategy for this war other than to protect rich and powerful men. And if this war escalates, China joins in, Russia joins in, down goes the empire. These kind of things can bring down an empire. You know, um, this is what sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings, right? He's telling him, do not spend your time on the people who ruin kings. People like Epstein, okay? They will see how great you are. You're a shining star. Oh, they are going to dim that light, okay? And this is what people like President Trump and people like Elon Musk, okay? People who are begging to go into the Epstein Island, right? Begging to go to the Epstein Island, right? These are people who lack wisdom. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings, because there are people who ruin kings, okay? It is not for kings, Lemuel, right? Tells him, it is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine. Okay? He's telling him, it's not for kings to go out there partying and going to the Epstein Islands. If you know what's good for you. These are the things that ruin a king. These are the things that bring down a kingdom. Okay? Trust me when I tell you, this is not going to end good for anybody, not for the United States. If another country is using Epstein files to blackmail American politicians, these are the things that ruin a kingdom. Okay? Do not mistake the wisdom of God for stupidity in any kind of way. Still, it's not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer. Okay? And these are the things that ruin men, even in your daily life. Okay? It is not for kings to go visiting prostitutes. If you want a good life, it's not for kings to go drinking recklessly, doing drugs recklessly. She's telling him, this kind of shit is what brings you down, okay? This kind of Epstein files, it was brings kingdoms down. Lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, okay? Because she tells him, like, these kings, you go out there, you party, you do all these things, you lose your mind, and you forget that like raping children is bad, eating children is bad, right? They go on this Epstein Island, right? They forget that there are cameras everywhere taking videos of them and everything that they want to do, and whoops, they figure it out soon that Epstein has everything, including their videos, including everything. And he's given that information, he's selling that. Of course, he's going to sell it to Russia. Why wouldn't he sell it to Russia? Of course, Putin's gonna be like, oh yeah, bring that shit. Bring it. Of course, he's going to, he's a spy. Of course, he's going to play two sides against each other. You don't think President Z has that information? With all his money? Oh, please. Oh, please. I bet you Z has all the Epstein files and the names of everybody in it. I bet you President Putin has all the Epstein files and everything in it. You think somebody like Epstein would hesitate to sell that for like a few $1,000,000? Hell no. Hell no. Okay? When president when President Trump became president, Putin had naked photos of Melania plastered on Russian television. They could not show it here in the United States. and he was sending a big message to everybody on the Epstein files. Okay, I got your videos, I got them, I know who you are, I got your images, and if I can plaster Melania on national television like this, guess what I can do? It was a very good message. I tell you, Putin has this, okay? He's been in the army. He knows how to shake people down. He doesn't care. That's why he didn't go to the Epstein Island, because he understands it is not for kings, right? He understands Putin would not be seen around people like this because he understands it is not for kings to do that, lest they forget what has been decreed and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Kings are not supposed to behave in this low down way. All these people on the Epstein did. Like these, they are not kings. They are not kings. They are not royalty, because kings do not forget and oppress 3-year-old children, rape 13-year-old children. Kings don't do that. Kings don't do that, because the Bible tells you here it is not for kings to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who can forget their poverty and embrace their misery no more. Okay? Wine and beer are for those people who are languishing in poverty. This is not for kings. These are people who want to forget their misery. If you want greatness, if you want to be somebody who is somebody, okay, you cannot be controlled by drugs, okay? Look at Elon Musk. He's always spacing out because he's on ketamine. It is not for kings to be controlled by substances, okay? This is why I know these leaders, they are not chosen by God. Okay, if you think you're a world leader and how you feel like you have to be powerful is by raping children, by raping 13-year-old girls, by you're not a king, you're not kingly, you're not royalty. Okay, you are somebody living in spiritual poverty, right? That is depravity. Kings don't behave in such a depraved manner, right? And you have to understand this mindset. Kings don't behave in such a depraved manner. Now look at all these Prince Andrew, all these people going to the Epstein Islands, the like of Trumps, the like of Elon Musk. Okay, you judge for yourself. This is the word of God. You judge for yourself. These are not kings. We don't know who's who. Everyone's faking. Everyone's faking. Everybody, right? She tells King Lemuel, okay, like kings don't do that. Okay, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Do you see Trump speaking up for people who cannot speak for themselves? No, he would rather put people in concentration camps for the rights of those who are destitute. That's what kings do. They speak up for the rights who cannot speak for themselves. They speak up for those who are destitute. They speak up and judge fairly. They defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Okay? I don't see this in Washington. That's where I know this man is not chosen by God. You may vote him. Human beings can choose you, but that does not mean God chose you. Depraved. They are so depraved. Like if they are going to the Epstein Island, okay, these words, by King Lemuel's mom, He tells him how to behave, how kings behave, how people of good character behave, how people behave, okay? Just you having a good character that makes you kingly, that gives you royalty, is the way you behave, right? You're not controlled by drugs. You keep yourself sober, right? You're not controlled by drugs. Everything you do it sober. You're going to have very good judgment. You can't be as despicable as Epstein, as depraved as Epstein, and stay sober, okay? Because of the poverty of your mindset and the depravity of your mind, you cannot stay sober. You cannot stay sober and have such a depraved mind. Because why? Because your mind wants to forget the depravity. And the only way it forgets that poverty is by drinking and doing drugs and doing all these things. That's just how you can live with yourself with all that depravity. And that's why you see that most celebrities, they do all these despicable things, and you hear that they OD'd on something, they did something, okay, maybe somebody killed them in their wicked circle, but there is no forgetting the depravity. And you have to understand that this happens in the music industry a lot too. You have talent, they want to exploit you, you know, but they don't want you to enjoy the wealth and the fame. They will make you do despicable things, do drugs, do despicable things that are going to make you be hooked to drugs. That's how they control each other. You don't want to be in that kind of poverty. You don't want to live in that kind of poverty. There's another level of poverty that you can have money, but you don't have peace because you're depraved. They already took your peace of mind. They already took your peace of mind. This is how they play these nasty games. This is how they play these nasty games. And the more you go to, maybe your career will start picking up, and then you start climbing higher and higher and higher, and you see people going to corporate events, going out, drinking. And I'm telling you, it is not for kings to get drunk. This is what the Bible says. It is not for kings to get drunk. So you're out there like a fool, being with your boss, going out at night with your co-workers, drinking, losing your mind. Foolishness. You're very foolish. You cannot do these things. You cannot do things. Some of you think like, oh, you're socializing, you're out there, you're socializing with coworkers when you're getting drunk. You're not going to go anywhere in life. You're not going to go much further. Okay? Because it's a matter of time until that foolishness, you do something foolish. You start doing something foolish. That's how kings fall. That's how empires fall, right? If you don't have the humility to be led by the word of God, you will end up like all these great men on the Epstein files. They know, okay? They know that they cannot hide for too much longer. Their names will be out in the open. Because if God has decided that those names will be out in the open, not so much things, there's not much things that President Trump can do for those files right now. Okay? I know somebody else has those files. Somebody else has got those files and with their names unredacted. We just need one crazy whistleblower at the right time, and everything will be out, and the world will be like, The emperor has no clothes. The emperor is naked, right? It's just a matter of time. Melinda Gates divorced her husband, right? Divorced Bill Gates. And that woman said something that you can't forget. She says, once I was a very little girl, and I can't imagine.
I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. Did you? Yes. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. Did you? Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for this. It was awful. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. Did you? Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It was awful. I also met.
And guys, I mean, you have seen every time. If you've been here and you've seen me like cover these Epstein files, there's always a glitch that happens with my equipment whenever I'm talking about Epstein files. Right now, I was playing this and you saw it disappear. Like it just disappeared out the blue. Okay? You've seen me try to play something of the Epstein files and then the internet kind of stops on its own. Or the other time I showed you my other computer just light up for some reason. Like the computer is there over there, I'm not touching it, it just lights up. I'm telling you, they're monitoring this story and the way the public is acting about these Epstein files. Okay, this is something that's being monitored. I am not surprised. You will see that a lot of a lot of YouTubers who talk about Epstein files, it's kind of like the algorithm doesn't seem to know they exist. Okay. Um, but you have seen if somebody like Melinda Gates gets to a point where she divorces one of the richest man in the world, and she goes on and says, I was once a little girl and I get divorced because of the things that happened to those little girls. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Because I was once a little girl and I saw those things that happened to those little girls at that age. This is the woman who has to go and see who this Epstein is. Like she was like, I want to see who this evil man is. And she goes and sees him and she realizes, oh my God, this is the man who eats children. This is a man who will rape children, torture, stutter. This is a man ready to die and bring down kings and empires down with him. Because Epstein Epstein is now in American history as one of those pivotal, I don't know, one of those pivotal people who bring down the empire. All these wars that we are having to distract away from the Epstein files just tells you people in Silicon Valley are involved in the thicks of it. People in the Republican Party, people in the Democratic Party, all these men, these powerful white men are in the thicks of it. Okay? Evil, 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 evil white men. Evil white men, I'm telling you. We're talking about the Epstein files. We're talking about the Epstein files. Okay? The more these men have more money, the more depraved they become. And let me tell you, I think the average dude in America is the same. So why do we have like 21 million site visits for this website that is essaying women? This website full of people essaying women has 61 million visits. 61 million visits in the month of February alone. Okay? A pedophile. Go down the street, walk down the street, right here, the first person you meet is probably a pedophile. Damn, yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In today's episode of This is the World, it's come out that in the certain files, which I'm not going to name because who knows what these apps are censoring, but in the files, Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein apparently allegedly had a falling out because Bill Gates got STDs from Russian girls and then wanted antibiotics to like discreetly pass along to Melania, not Melania, God, Melinda. And I just can't stop thinking about the fact that if these people had no money or power, and I know that's a big if, like they do, and it matters in this context, we would see them as total buffoons, and they are buffoons, but they would just be total degenerate buffoons. In today's
So this is the thing. I know it is the way that it sounds. Okay. So Gates has an STD from the Russian girls. Okay. I don't know what she has. Okay, but it's probably not HIV because they need antibiotics to heal whatever, right? He gets this STD that he needs antibiotics to heal himself. But anyway, he's like, how do we drug my wife so that she takes the medicine and she doesn't realize that I gave her an STD? Yeah. So he gives his wife an STD. Mm-hmm. And instead of like going out and telling her, babe, I have an STD, he's like, how do I drug her? How do I get drugs into her system? Where? Wives and their husbands. Oh,
in the book, you really open up about the divorce like we've never heard before. Why was that important to you? Well, it was important because if I'm going to be my most authentic self, people knew I had gone through it. And unfortunately, and it's hard on any family. So I write from my perspective, but I wouldn't, it's not something I would wish on anybody. And unfortunately, so many families, and it is a big transition. And for me, while it was painful for sure, I ended up learning some lessons, and there was some growth in there too. The most fascinating thing about Bill Gates isn't his billions, tech genius, Jeffrey Epstein connections, or work with vaccines.
See, it's glitched again, right? Anything you say about the Epstein files, right? The internet somehow just finds a way to stop.
Saying divorcing Melinda is the biggest regret of his life. Here's why this is shocking. After getting married in 1994, they built an empire together. The foundation. After our divorce,
I mean, Melinda was always like super cute. Um, must be disappointing to marry a man, to have this idea that he's a philanthropist, he does all these great things to the world, and then you open your eyes one day and you realize he's the predator. He's a predator. Okay, here's another topic they don't want you to know, right? In fact, if today when I was trying to Google it, um, Google allow me. It has to do with Apex, right? It has to do with Apex. And it has to do with these things that they're doing about gravity, the research they're doing about gravity. Yeah, the propulsion systems.
So you're the guy to ask about this. What, if any, possibility is there that there is some sort of advanced propulsion system technology that's being worked on in secret? To the best of my knowledge, there is not any magic. There's not like some super advanced propulsion technology. There have been people.
Of course, he will say of course, he's not going to say on Joe Rogan that there's some propulsion system, but they are doing research on gravity, on how they can manipulate gravity. Okay, if you understand, like, the big thing about gravity is we live in a perfect balance with gravity right now on this planet. The gravity is perfect. If gravity was even a teeny bit more, you would all be flat, like you would be flat on the ground like this, like it would squeeze you down to the ground, like just a little bit of gravity, you will end up squeezed flat like an envelope, like that, right? So gravity is huge when it comes to the balance of this planet and the way it is. And I think this is when, like, God will not allow them to get to the point where they start affecting the gravitational pull of this planet. And um I think that can be a good place to use weapons, right? For weapons, maybe that can be lethal weapons, but I don't think, yeah, like there's a whole research being done about propulsion systems. You look at them, but sometimes when you Google them, Google will be like, confirm you're not a robot. Why are you looking at this activity? You know? And then you will see that a lot of there's this thing going on, like a lot of NASA scientists who work with this research, they have been murdered. Like 10 of them have been murdered. One was murdered just like a month ago. Another woman was murdered like last year. Like a good number of them have been murdered and disappeared. And actually they asked Trump to look into it, and he's like, it's probably a conspiracy theory, but we are going to look into it. The moment that people have been murdered, and I know that case is on the president desk, and they try to make us feel like, mm, it's probably, then there's something. There's no smoke without fire. That's, for me, that's the confirmation I usually look for. Then why are we talking about it if it was a nothing issue? So, because this has to so this whole research, and NASA is on it, but the scientists have been NASA scientists. They're dying, right? So anything that they are going to talk about, you start learning about it, like why this is important. But we will see. Well, I gotta go. It was nice hanging out with you guys. We can hang out tomorrow. I am doing good over to. Oh, nice to see you. Right. Um, Nice to see you, Overton, here again. So, well, I need to go work out and finish some things I need to work on the website. So we'll talk tomorrow. May you be happy and live with a joyful heart, because that's all that matters either way. May you be strong and healthy and live with a body that gives you energy. And what else? May you be safe and protected from all sorts of inner and outer harm. And may you live with the ease that comes with well being. I love you. God bless you. I learn from you too. Thank you. Have a good day.